In the early hours of June 20, 1970, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, two nuclear-powered submarines from opposing Cold War adversaries collided during routine but highly sensitive patrol operations. One was the United States Navy attack submarine USS Tautog, SSN 639. The other was the Soviet Navy cruise missile submarine K-108, an Echo II-class vessel. The collision occurred in waters east of the Kamchatka Peninsula, near areas regularly used by the Soviet Union for ballistic missile and naval operations. At the time, neither crew was aware of the other's exact position. Both were conducting missions that, by their nature, relied on secrecy, silence, and proximity to the enemy. The Cold War at sea was largely invisible to the public. Beneath the surface, U.S. and Soviet submarines shadowed one another, monitored missile tests, tracked fleet movements, and attempted to remain undetected while doing so. These patrols were dangerous even without direct contact. Crews operated under strict emissions control, limiting sonar transmissions to avoid detection. This meant that submarines often relied on passive listening alone, increasing the risk of misjudging distance, depth, or relative motion. USS Tautog was a Sturgeon-class nuclear attack submarine, commissioned in 1969. Its primary role was to track Soviet submarines and surface ships, collect intelligence, and, if necessary, engage enemy vessels. By mid-1970, Tautog was still early in its operational life, but had already been assigned sensitive patrols in the Pacific. These patrols frequently brought U.S. submarines close to Soviet territorial waters, particularly near submarine bases and missile test zones. K-108 was a Project 675 Echo II nuclear-powered cruise missile submarine, armed with P-6 anti-ship cruise missiles. These submarines were designed to target U.S. aircraft carrier groups. They were large, relatively noisy by later standards, and operated with crews accustomed to long deployments and high operational risk. K-108 was conducting a patrol that included operations near Kamchatka, a region central to Soviet naval strategy. On June 20, both submarines were submerged. Tautog was trailing Soviet naval activity, operating quietly at depth. K-108 was maneuvering in the same general area. Neither submarine was aware that the other was dangerously close. At some point during these maneuvers, Tautog altered course or depth, likely in response to sonar contacts or navigational planning. At nearly the same moment, K-108 was also maneuvering, possibly to change depth or heading. The collision occurred suddenly. Tautog's sail and upper hull struck K-108, scraping along the Soviet submarine's outer structure. The impact was violent but brief. Inside Tautog, crew members felt a sharp jolt. Instruments registered abnormal vibrations. Alarms sounded in some compartments, but there was no immediate loss of power. The U.S. submarine's pressure hull remained intact. For K-108, the consequences were far more severe. The collision tore through parts of its outer hull and damaged a missile tube section. One of its cruise missile tubes was ruptured, causing flooding. Although the pressure hull was not breached, the damage compromised the submarine's structural integrity and stability. Soviet crew members quickly initiated emergency procedures to control flooding and assess reactor safety. Both commanders faced immediate decisions. Surfacing risked revealing their positions and, in the Soviet case, the presence of a damaged nuclear submarine near sensitive waters. Remaining submerged risked worsening damage or loss of the vessel. Tautog's captain conducted a rapid internal assessment. With no flooding and no reactor issues detected, the U.S. submarine withdrew from the area, maintaining radio silence and returning to port under its own power. K-108's situation was more precarious. the submarine managed to remain afloat and eventually surfaced. Temporary repairs and damage control allowed it to begin a long return voyage to a Soviet port. During this transit, the crew faced ongoing risks from flooding, mechanical failure, and the possibility of reactor complications. Despite these dangers, K-108 successfully returned, though it required extensive repairs and was later decommissioned earlier than planned. At the time, neither government publicly acknowledged the collision. Incidents like this were considered state secrets. Acknowledging such events would have raised questions about aggressive patrol practices, rules of engagement, and the risk of nuclear escalation. For years, the collision remained known only to the crews involved and to a small circle of military officials. Within the U.S. Navy, the incident was documented internally. Damage to the sail and hull plating was discreetly repaired. The official explanation for the damage avoided mention of a collision with a Soviet submarine. Similarly, Soviet records did not publicly attribute K-108's damage to a collision with a U.S. vessel, though internal reports recognized the cause. The collision highlighted the inherent dangers of Cold War submarine operations. Unlike surface ships, submarines operate in 3 dimensions, often without visual confirmation of nearby vessels. Passive sonar provides bearing, but not precise range. In areas with multiple submarines, surface ships, and complex acoustic conditions, the margin for error was thin. This was not an isolated event. During the Cold War, multiple collisions occurred between U.S. and Soviet submarines, as well as between submarines and surface ships. Many involved tracking operations in close proximity. Each carried the risk of reactor damage, loss of the vessel, and potential nuclear contamination. The fact that none escalated into open conflict owed more to restraint and secrecy than to the absence of danger. From a strategic perspective, the USS Tautog K-108 collision underscored the paradox of deterrence at sea. Submarines were central to maintaining nuclear balance, yet their covert operations brought adversaries into dangerously close contact. Both sides accepted this risk as the cost of maintaining situational awareness and strategic advantage. In later decades, as Cold War archives opened and former officers spoke publicly, more details emerged. Former U.S. Navy personnel confirmed the collision and identified K-108 as the Soviet submarine involved. Russian sources later corroborated these accounts. Together, they formed a consistent narrative of the incident, aligning timelines, locations, and damage reports. The 1970 submarine collision influenced subsequent thinking about submarine safety and rules of behavior. In 1972, the United States and the Soviet Union signed the Incidents at Sea Agreement, INCSEA, which established guidelines to reduce the risk of dangerous encounters between naval forces. While primarily focused on surface ships and aircraft, the agreement reflected broader recognition that unmanaged encounters could have catastrophic consequences. For the crews involved, the collision was a reminder of how quickly routine patrols could turn lethal. Submarine service already carried inherent risks: fire, flooding, mechanical failure, and isolation. The added danger of encountering an unseen enemy vessel amplified those risks. Yet patrols continued, driven by strategic necessity and command expectations. USS Tautog remained in service for decades after the incident, eventually being decommissioned in 1996. K-108 did not return to frontline service and was eventually scrapped. Neither submarine's collision became public knowledge until long after the Cold War ended. Today, the 1970 submarine collision is studied as part of Cold War naval history. It is cited in analyses of undersea operations, risk management, and crisis stability. The incident illustrates how close the superpowers sometimes came to disaster without the public ever knowing. It also demonstrates that many of the most dangerous moments of the Cold War occurred not during political crises, but during routine military operations carried out far from public view. The collision did not change the course of the Cold War, but it revealed its underlying fragility. Beneath the rhetoric, treaties, and summits, heavily armed submarines operated in silence, separated by meters rather than miles. On June 20, 1970, that separation vanished, and two rival navies collided in the dark, leaving behind damage, secrecy, and a lasting lesson about the risks of invisible warfare.